The International Bluegrass Music Association is bringing its World of Bluegrass to Raleigh, September 24th through 28th. The following is a look at some of the many different activities and events that will be offered to Raleigh residents on those 5 days. The first offering we're checking out is the Bluegrass Ramble. A first for the World of Bluegrass, the Ramble invites convention attendees and local fans to ramble around Raleigh for 5 nights, sampling great bluegrass music on 6 stages. Cindy Balcom and William Lewis are at one of those venues.
The Bluegrass Ramble is an important part of the business conference for the International Bluegrass Music Association because it's the component that features artist showcases. And this is important because artists are there to be able to showcase their talents to potential talent buyers. And in years past, these showcases have happened in convention center rooms as well as even hospitality rooms in hotels. And so we were getting some feedback from IBMA, from the artists, about really the difficulty in showcasing being that you're not in a natural environment in which you typically play. And so in order to respond to that, IBMA thought about this idea of the Bluegrass Ramble and moving the showcase opportunities into music venues. And we feel like it's going to...
And it will just really add to the entire atmosphere of bluegrass in downtown Raleigh too. And we know that bands are excited about this element, and I think it's a cool name because Bill Monroe had an instrumental called Bluegrass Ramble. So when you name the event after the father of bluegrass and one of his songs, and people will be rambling around all of downtown Raleigh enjoying bluegrass in heavy, heavy doses.
You know, being year one into this, I think there's a lot of excitement of trying to be engaged. And so we had some very great conversations right off the bat with the primary 6 venues that will be hosting the Bluegrass Ramble. That includes the venue that we're in today, the Lincoln Theater, also Tiernan Oak, the Poorhouse Music Hall, the Longview Center, the Architect, and King's. And so these primary venues have built a relationship with us over time around this event, and they're going to get a lot of great promotion out of it. And I think there's a good bit of excitement around being able to be part of a convention that's usually fairly insular and usually limited to a convention center. It's now really spread out throughout the community.
And IBMA is really excited that these venues have been so receptive about bringing the showcasing bands into their establishments, and we just think it's going to add to the overall fun of just how much bluegrass there's going to be in downtown Raleigh during World Bluegrass Week.
And another thing that this format really addresses is that typically with showcasing you get one shot. The artists get up in a convention center setting and they have their 15 or 20 minutes, and then it's over. And so, but with this new format with 6 different venues participating, including on top of that the convention center will be a location, these artists will have at least 2 times that they can get in front of audiences and prove who they are and what they do.
And many of them 3 times, which bands have been excited about that because, as William said, in years past it's been one showcase performance, and with bands traveling from California or halfway around the world to come to IBMA World of Bluegrass, they need as many opportunities as possible to really make their trips worthwhile.
And the Bluegrass Ramble also addresses another thing that is important to IBMA, and that is to diversify the talent buying pool. So those talent buyers are typically bluegrass festivals and performing arts centers, but this gives people an opportunity. Perhaps you are a corporate buyer, or perhaps you're someone who just wants to hire a band for a private event. Well, this gives you a great opportunity to come and see some of the talent that's out there at a very low cost without committing to being at the full conference if you're not a bluegrass industry insider.
And it's also going to give music fans the opportunity to see just how diverse the bluegrass genre is, how the lines are blurred in terms of there not really being a strict definition, but everybody grounded at the same place. It's like the same roots, but it keeps branching out. And there is really a style of bluegrass that I think everyone could fall in love with. And it's going to give them an opportunity to hear a variety of bands doing a variety of different sounds in the bluegrass genre. And I think it's important that people realize, if they are just a casual listener, bluegrass is very deep in the amount of variation that it offers the public.
Yeah, what we've done with the Bluegrass Ramble, Cindy is a co-producer of the Bluegrass Ramble along with Ben Surratt, and they have done a terrific job of mixing both national touring artists, North Carolina and Raleigh-based artists, as well as international artists. If you want to talk about some of the bands coming.
Yes, some North Carolina bands, the Steep Canyon Rangers, Balsam Range. These are bands that have had #1 songs this year and great tours. The Kruger Brothers will be here, a North Carolina band now, but from Switzerland, so they could really be considered international as well. And speaking of international, a good number of groups coming from around the world.
Yeah, the Looping Brothers are coming from Germany. We have the Spinney Brothers from Nova Scotia, Toy Hearts from the UK, so it truly will be an international event that has a lot of roots here in North Carolina and then spreading out throughout the nation.
The bands were really receptive to the whole concept of the Ramble. As William touched on earlier, instead of a convention center environment, we kept hearing at the International Bluegrass Music Association from more and more bands who said, we play clubs a lot, we play venues where fans can get up and dance, and we feel like that if we're in our own environment, we can be more who we are on stage and truly represent the kind of show that we put on, and show promoters and talent buyers and potential fans what we do if we're out where they have music all the time. And many of these bands come to Raleigh on a regular basis, and they were already familiar with many of these venues. And so the bands were very excited about it.
And a change that we made, which I think is going to continue to be positive, is that, again, these bands were saying we want to feel like we're in our natural environment in order to be able to showcase really who we are. Well, a core piece of that is public. And oftentimes in years past, and most showcase conferences around the world, it's really a very insular event. It's a convention industry-driven event in front of your peers, but there's not much option for the public to be involved. So the Bluegrass Ramble, this kind of evening showcase in these venues, which anyone from the public can buy a ticket at the door and come in, fills up the room. And it really, as a talent buyer myself, I would rather see a band play in front of a public to know how the public is responding to the band and how the connections are, in order to really get a good feel of how they may connect to my audiences. So this type of Bluegrass Ramble, this type of model will really help all of us get a better gauge of how the bands are doing.
Another first for the World of Bluegrass 2013 is the North Carolina Whole Hog Barbecue State Championship that will begin around midday Friday, September 27th, continuing throughout the night, with the championship being awarded midday Saturday, September 28th.
I'm on Lincoln Plaza looking across the street at the parking lot that's going to be transformed on September 27th, starting about noon, into the Whole Hog Barbecue Capital. We're going to have cooks, about 30 from all over the state. They're going to come to compete for the state championship. These chefs have qualified by competing at championships across the state at different contests that represent little communities, and they've won or placed there, and that has made them qualify to be able to come and compete in our state championship. So the barbecue, they'll get the pigs on Friday night, and that's after they do their showmanship contest, which is where they decorate their tents and they have themes, and they're gonna just be doing it up big. I've heard some rumors that there might even be one of the cooks that has has a bluegrass band in his tent that night for the showmanship contest. And then that night, after that's done, we'll deliver the pigs. They'll do the prep all night and cook it all night. and then on Saturday morning, after our judges come through and judge it, and they provide their sample to the blind taste judges that'll be here, then the Interfaith Food Shuttle will be here to take those pigs. They'll finish chopping them, and then they'll serve that barbecue down on Fayetteville Street Mall. My understanding is some of the artists that are going to be in town when they're closing down the street down there, and when things are done at the Red Hat Amphitheater, then they're going to come here and they're just going to have little jamming sessions and just play to their heart's content. The smell will be amazing, and the music will be too. So this contest will incorporate both Eastern and Western style, with them predominantly being Eastern style, but there will be a little bit of a range. So we have two types of judging. We have, as a North Carolina Port Council sanctioned contest, the key component is that we do an on-site component, which means our judges who are trained will go cooker to cooker. So they go to the grill itself, and the cook opens the grill, and there's the pig. And so they judge it still intact on the grill after it's cooked. And then once they've judged it, then the cook has about 15 minutes to create a chopped sample with their sauce, the way they want to chop it, and then that's taken to our blind taste judges who also judge it. And then at the end, we take the on-site scores from those judges and the blind taste scores from those judges and combine those to get our winner. So the first thing they do is walk up and they check the thermometers to make sure that they've all reached the appropriate cooking temperature, which is at least about 145, but most of them go far beyond that. But that's the completely cookers, they determine what they want to cook it to. So the first thing they do is they fold it back, they look how crispy the skin is. That's a very big component of our scoring for the on-site. Then each judge has a particular part of the pig. So one judge will score the hams on every pig, one judge will score the loins on every pig so that it's apples to apples. And they'll take the meat, they'll squeeze it to see what the moisture is there, make sure that it's done, because that's always key. And then they test the moisture. And then each of the cooks will have a little jar or bowl of sauce. They test it in the sauce, and that's pretty much what they're looking for. They're looking for doneness. Most of all, they're looking for crispy skin, moisture, and then the taste of the sauce. The blind taste judges, we try to make sure that they're barbecue knowledgeable, but it's an easy way for us to get in some local celebrities, some colorful characters. Sometimes we get local chefs to do this. So we're still determining exactly who's going to be our representatives from the different areas, but we're going to have a really good show for our blind taste judges. It is a championship, so they will get trophies as well as money. We give prize money adding up to almost $5,000, with the grand prize winner going away with $2,000. There have been some repeat state champions. A matter of fact, one of the cooks that'll be here has won 3 times in the past, and then there are some that have won at 2 times. But then there's some, more importantly, who have competed year after year after year and want this bad. So once the pigs are cooked on Saturday morning, and after they've been judged by both our on-site judges and they've been sampled by our blind taste judges, then those pigs will go to the Interfaith Food Shuttle, who will have a tent set up out here, and their chef and the volunteers are going to complete the chopping process, and then they're going to have those pigs taken down to, once they're chopped, taken down to Fayetteville Street Mall, and they'll actually be down in front of WTVD 11's station that's on Fayetteville Street, and they will be selling those barbecue sandwiches down there from a tent in front of there. The proceeds from the sale of the barbecue will be shared between IBMA's foundation, their educational foundation, as well as the Interfaith Food Shuttle. So we hope to see everybody come down here on Friday to see the setup, to see the showmanship, to see the pigs be delivered. It's just a really fun process. They'll be here all night. The jamming tents will be set up here out on Licton Plaza. And then Saturday morning, the aromas are amazing. It's fun to watch the process of the pigs being judged. We'll have our celebrity judges doing the blind taste judging, and then once it's all done, the culmination of it is there's going to be some fabulous barbecue for you all to buy and eat and enjoy, knowing that the proceeds are going to really good causes.
The single biggest night in Bluegrass will take place in Raleigh Memorial Auditorium on Thursday, September 26th. Bluegrass Blue Bloods, Russell Johnson of Grass Cats and IBMA board member and Blue Ridge Music Hall of Fame member Cindy Balcom know all about just how big this event is.
The 24th Annual International Bluegrass Music Awards will take place here in Raleigh on September 26th, and it's really one of the highlights of World of Bluegrass Week. Folks will be dressed in evening gowns and tuxedos, and it's the best of the best as voted on by the professional membership of the International Bluegrass Music Association. The IBMA Awards were started in 1990 when the organization felt there was a need to recognize, just as the movies and other music genres recognize the very best who are touring and recording and performing. Bluegrass music needed that. So back in 1990, the International Bluegrass Music Association started their award show in Owensboro, Kentucky, which is now the site of the Bluegrass Music Museum. But at that first award show, when people like Alison Krauss and Jerry Douglas and Tony Rice and Del McCoury started getting those awards, it made people realize that bluegrass was a serious format. It increased the overall knowledge commercially of the music, and it helped get these great bands into more venues. And another wonderful element, those same artists who were awarded in 1990 at that first award show, they'll be in Raleigh to participate this year in World of Bluegrass.
It also gives the International Bluegrass Music Association a chance to recognize some of the pioneers of bluegrass music, some of the people that were there when it started, and some are actually continuing to play now. But it is a great opportunity at the awards to recognize the people that really helped start the music.
And a highlight of the evening is induction into IBMA's Hall of Fame. And this year, a North Carolina artist and resident, Tony Rice, who has had decades in the music and been so influential, he's going into the Hall of Fame. Very excited about that. And then a fiddler who performed with the Foggy Mountain Boys, Lester Flat, Earl Scruggs and the Foggy Mountain Boys. Their fiddler, Paul Warren, is the other inductee into this year's Bluegrass Hall of Fame. Bluegrass itself is so diverse, and the people that love bluegrass and play bluegrass are so diverse. You'll see a variety of attire, from tuxedos and evening gowns to blue jeans and denim jackets. And it's sort of a night where people can let their own style shine through, both on stage and sitting in the audience.
So you may see a few cowboy hats out in the audience too.
Probably more than a few. But there are so many special moments that occur that you certainly don't want to take a chance missing. Russell and I were recalling one from just a few years back.
I think it was 96 or 97, they gave the award for Mandolin Player of the Year to Ronnie McCoury. And Ronnie had, he accepted the award on stage, and then he walked off stage into the audience and handed the IBMA Mandolin Player of the Year award to Bill Monroe. I remember what Bill was wearing. I remember Bill standing up and holding the IBMA award up in the air, and just cold chills and everything that hits you on such an emotional moment like that. It was something I'll remember as long as I live. And it was the pioneer generation and the new generation there together at one time.
And to be sitting in the audience and have that chill bump moment where a young mandolin player gives the utmost respect to the person that started it all. It's those kinds of moments that occur during the IBMA Awards show.
The IBMA Awards recognize everything from Entertainer of the Year, Song of the Year, Album of the Year, Recorded Event of the Year, Gospel Recorded Event of the Year, as well as the individual instruments like Mandolin Player of the Year, guitar, dobro, fiddle, upright bass, or bass I should say, and then there's other awards too.
The special awards luncheon for special awards from the IBMA are presented at a Wednesday luncheon at the Raleigh Convention Center. Those winners will also be recognized during the IBMA Awards show on Thursday, September 26th. Those are Momentum Awards. And when we see up-and-coming talent, we want to recognize the folks who have that good momentum moving forward, and they're helping bluegrass in a variety of areas. And also some special awards like Broadcaster, Print Media Person of the Year, Best Graphic Designer. Those are at the Wednesday luncheon, but those winners will be recognized on Thursday night of the awards show. And then 17 categories of performance, and then the 2 Hall of Fame inductee presentations. To determine the winners in the 17 categories of the International Bluegrass Music Awards, the voting membership of the professional contingent of IBMA, they will receive their 3rd and final ballot. It's a 3-ballot process, and our official accounting firm of Ronnie Hancock tabulates those, and the accounting firm is the only one that knows the winners until the night the envelope is opened on stage. So it makes for an exciting evening as those winners are revealed, but the 3rd and final ballot will be going out to professional members of the IBMA. They will vote for their pick in each category, and until Thursday night, September 26th, the accounting firm will be the only ones to know the winners.
There will be a host of former winners and people that are nominated for awards that evening performing at the IBMA Awards. And live performance is a very big part of it. And you get to see things you would never see, like for the Earl Scruggs tribute that year. How many banjo players were on stage, Cindy?
It was more than 40 banjo players on stage.
40 banjo players playing a Foggy Mountain Breakdown, and also you may see a super group. And last year, for instance, the first time I ever saw the Masters, which was made up of icons in our industry like Bobby Osborne and Dale McCoury and Jerry McCoury and Bobby Hicks and J.D. Crowe performing for the first time. So your evening will be filled with great musical performances from recognized bands, touring bands, and maybe some special things you've never seen before.
And not only the performances, another thing that makes it a special evening during the awards show are the presenters. Many of the great artists in bluegrass music that don't have a chance to perform on the stage, they get to come out and do the presentations in those 17 categories. So there have also been some special pairings to come out in the past. I remember Alison Krauss and Larry Sparks presenting together, and Ricky Skaggs coming out with his wife Sharon. And so the presentations, the performances, who the winners are, it all culminates into one very exciting evening, just as you see an award show on TV. Sitting there in the audience just makes it all the more special. Whether you're a dyed-in-the-wool bluegrass fan or just a casual listener, it's a special, special night. And then there'll be some red carpet activities leading up to the evening where the media will get interviews with people, and it's always a fun chance for folks coming to the award show to get to meet some of the people before they actually come in and take their seats.
North Carolina's own Steep Canyon Rangers, a band that's been out probably for 15 years. A lot of the fellas in the band started at UNC Chapel Hill. That would be Graham and Nikki and help me out here. Woody Platt and Mike and I can't remember everybody right now. But yes, the Steep Canyon Rangers from North Carolina will be hosting the show. A 15-year career. They've won awards, toured all over, I guess, the world now, and we're very proud to have them to host the IBMA Awards show.
And they are such a fun band, very professional, but you can see their chemistry on stage. So I'm looking forward to a very lively night with the 5 members of the Steep Canyon Rangers being behind the microphone as this year's host for the 24th Annual Award Show.
So many former winners of the International Bluegrass Music Awards will perform in the ticketed events of Wide Open Bluegrass Friday and Saturday, September 27th and 28th, that the Red Hat Amphitheater in downtown Raleigh will be transformed into the pantheon of bluegrass.
Well, it's great to be coming to you from the Red Hat Amphitheater here in downtown Raleigh. This is where Wide Open Bluegrass will take place, on this stage and inside the Raleigh Convention Center.
The Red Hat Amphitheater will be the site for the best bluegrass bands in the country right here September 27th and 28th in downtown Raleigh. Music starts at 11:45 and goes until 11 o'clock at night both days.
And Russell, your band, the Grass Cats, will be here, and I'm sure you're just so honored to be here with so many of those other talented performers.
Honored, excited, and ready to put on a good show for everyone in Raleigh from all over the world that's coming in for the International Bluegrass Music Association's Wide Open Bluegrass Festival.
And folks, you don't want to miss it. It's Allison Krauss, Del McCurry, Steve Martin, the Steep Canyon Rangers, Bela Fleck, and the list goes on and on and on.
If you're a fan of bluegrass, or if you're not sure if you know about bluegrass, this is the time to find out. And again, artists from all over the world performing here at the Red Hat Amphitheater for the Wide Open Bluegrass Festival. It's just going to be action-packed 2 days of music right here in downtown Raleigh.
And it's the best of the best. And for the ticket price, you might normally get to see one headliner and an opening act. But this is 2 full days of music at such a reasonable rate, all presented by the International Bluegrass Music Association.
Life in colonial America was tough beyond imagining. One of the very few joys that brightened and lightened these earliest Americans' lives was music. From Appalachia to the ocean, North Carolinians played the classics they had brought with them from Wales, Ireland, Scotland, England, and Africa, while their life experiences led to the creation of new melodies, new lyrics, and even a new instrument. No state boasts a richer bluegrass history than North Carolina, as attested by just 2 native sons, Earl Scruggs and Doc Watson. Bluegrass was ready to go mainstream just as North Carolina radio stations began broadcasting. 2 North Carolina musicians, Linda Dawson and Patty Hopkins, are keeping this tradition alive and vibrant, while the North Carolina Museum of History is preserving our heritage.
Well, I'm Linda Dawson, and I'm the guitar player, lead singer and songwriter for the Kicking Grass Band. We've been around for 11 years, based out of Raleigh, North Carolina. And last year we were honored with the Carolina Music Award for Best Bluegrass Americana, which was a great honor. Patty and I also have a duo project together, and I play children's music as well. I write and sing in a children's duo called Little Root.
My name is Patty Hopkins, and I also play with the Kicking Grass Band, fiddle and vocals. I started my music career at a very early age. My parents started me at age 4, and I grew up to get a degree in violin, so I play with a symphony and a bluegrass band and a rock and roll band. My mother is a classical organist, and she started me at a very young age. And on my father's side, I found bluegrass from my great-grandfather, which I play his fiddle on stage now. And he played every instrument with strings on it. So I fell into what was embedded in my culture. I found out my great-grandfather had a bluegrass radio show in the 50s in Bertie County. I'm from Martin County, so a lot of family in the East. And I just felt, when I had his fiddle was handed to me, it helped inspire a whole new route for my career personally. So it felt like I was home. I did. I studied music at East Carolina University. I have a violin performance degree as well as a Suzuki degree. And I teach young kids. I have ages 2 to about 60 right now in my private studio. And I teach Suzuki, classical, and also the Mark O'Connor American Violin Method, which is based on all the roots of American music.
And I did not grow up around bluegrass. I grew up in New Jersey. And when I was growing up, I had never really heard bluegrass music. I didn't realize that there was a scene in New Jersey for bluegrass until after I moved to North Carolina in the late 90s. And I was playing and singing folk music at the time. I had picked up the guitar in college, and I was a songwriter. And I was performing in a acoustic female duo, at the time a folk duo, and met my current husband, who played mandolin, and he invited me out to a bluegrass jam, and I had no idea what to expect, but when I walked in, it just was inspiring. The community of people, the commonality of the songs, everyone would join in, play along, even if they didn't know the song, the harmonies, the virtuosity of the instrumentation. It just blew my mind, and I instantly fell in love and got to start learning bluegrass and have never turned back. Well, they talk about bluegrass having a high, lonesome sound. It sort of pushes the edge of our vocal ability and our instrument ability. I think it makes us really push that boundary to the point where it does catch your heartstrings and it does raise the emotional level. And the music is very genuine. It's about everyday life. I think it connects a lot with North Carolina because of the rural roots here, and a lot of the songs in bluegrass are about rural living and just coming up, and the lyrics and the tone of bluegrass and the community aspect of it is something really unique and special.
People can relate. So having someone that's a farmer sitting next to someone that's a doctor playing Wabash Cannonball, and just providing comfort for everyone sitting around. It's very special, and it is part of our culture, so we all can connect to it.
I mean, I think it's exciting to see the bluegrass instruments being taken in various directions. You have your traditional bluegrass, and I think that lineup will be around forever. It was sort of imprinted by Bill Monroe and his group of the first generation, and I don't think it will ever go away. But then you also have people experimenting and pushing boundaries into Americana, jazz fusion, chamber bluegrass, taking it in all these different directions. And it allows, like Patty was saying, different people to connect with it depending on their background and their area that they're coming from. So they're all coming into this Americana style of bluegrass and then finding out about the different versions, the different styles, the traditional. It's really exciting that it's opening so many doors for the music.
Well, there's room for everything too. There's room there, and there's an outlet for everyone to be connected to bluegrass. It's only going to open more doors for people to understand and really appreciate bluegrass.
I don't see bluegrass fading at all. In fact, I see the opposite. With resurgence, things like Oh Brother, Where Art Thou lifting the popularity, the festival scene growing, and not just bluegrass festivals, but festivals like Bonnaroo and Shikori Hills and Telluride, who include bluegrass as part of their lineup. It's just, it's actually growing, I think, among the younger populations, and it's only going to continue.
I agree.
This exhibit is going to be our first of a 3-year exhibit to coincide with the International IBMA Bluegrass Music Festival that's going to be here downtown Raleigh. It starts in the end of September, and so this exhibit opens August 30th to October 27th. It's the first year is going to be a smaller case in the lobby, and it's just going to highlight kind of North Carolina's contribution to bluegrass after Bill Monroe kind of popularized it. And we're also focusing on the importance of the radio and how that popularized bluegrass music throughout the state. And we're just going to be highlighting certain North Carolinians that really played an important role in bluegrass music. So it should be a really fun exhibit, and we'll focus on 5 instruments in the case. There'll be a mandolin, a guitar, a bass, a fiddle, and a banjo. And we'll kind of focus on memorabilia of bluegrass and radio as well. I didn't know very much about bluegrass music, so it's a huge world, and it was really fun to listen to. There's so many. North Carolina has such a huge presence in the popularizing of bluegrass music, and so we really wanted to highlight that because bluegrass is always associated with Bill Monroe out of Kentucky, and he was very important. He's the father of bluegrass, but North Carolina definitely has its roots in bluegrass as well, and so we definitely wanted to show that in this exhibit. Yeah, so this first year is just kind of an introduction for visitors to bluegrass. We're kind of talking about the history of the instruments and whatnot. The second year, the exhibit's going to expand, hopefully, and we're going to kind of look at more of the golden age of the 1940s and 50s with Flatt and Scruggs, Earl Scruggs from North Carolina, Doc Watson, and some other musicians that we don't get to see in this first exhibit because of space constraints. So And then the third year, we'd kind of like to look at new grass and how the revival of bluegrass has kind of hit and kind of look at that. So it's going to be kind of a timeline. So we're excited to see where this exhibit goes in the future.
For programming for this year, we've got speakers lined up. We're actually doing one earlier in the month in September 14th. We're going to have what we're calling Bluegrass. We're going to have what's called Bluegrass in the Garden, September 14th. It's going to be from 3 to 6, so we're doing it right out in front of the museum here. Kind of prepping ourselves for the bluegrass that's coming for us. And then the week of the IBMAs, we're going to have speakers out here, both from 1 to 3 and from 5 to 7, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday of the week. Thursday night is also going to be our big bluegrass jam session. We're working with Pine Cone. They're going to be coming out here and setting up, and we're going to see what goes on.
Street Fest will be the initial taste of what is sure to be vintage Raleigh World of Bluegrass. This fun free-for-all is Friday, September 27th and Saturday, September 28th from noon to 11 p.m. each day in downtown Raleigh.
Well, this is very similar to our Raleigh Wide Open festivals and our many street festivals that go on down Fayetteville Street. So it's a similar footprint. It's from the state capitol down to the Memorial Auditorium, and it encompasses 5 blocks of continuous stages, and we got vendors, and we've got food and art and music, and it's going to be all really directed towards bluegrass music.
Yeah, and I think it was a great meeting of minds in that IBMA, and I give them credit for this, and that they really opened up to the idea of tapping into this Raleigh's history of having these wide open festivals. And part of the reason they really bought into it is because now we have the potential of promoting bluegrass to a much wider audience than those just participating in the convention. So we will have 3 primary stages along Fayetteville Street. There'll be one on City Plaza, one at the intersection of Fayetteville and Martin Street, and then another at the intersection of Fayetteville and Hargett Street. And we will have the dance tent right behind us here, and there will also be a youth music stage on the plaza of the convention center. So there's going to be live music at all of those stages. So what we tried to do with the programming aspect of it is to give a broad mix of not only local and national and international artists, but also a broad range of the genres that are represented in bluegrass and have connections to bluegrass. So we will have straight ahead bluegrass musicians, but we will also have more Americana acts. We've got some blues, have some Celtic as well. We're going to program the stages a little bit different in that we have the City Plaza stage will feature national and international artists, and the Martin Street stage will be focused exclusively on North Carolina artists. And then the Hargett Street stage will really branch out and feature some of the Americana roots and branches of bluegrass, if you will.
Coming off of the great success we just had on July 4th in our past 6 years of Raleigh Wide Open events and Harley Fest and other big festivals we have on Fayetteville Street, this year we've got, for the Bluegrass Festival, we've got Got to Be NC, the ag department. They've put together 25 vendors of North Carolina-based products and things that represent all of North Carolina for the fans and the musicians and the attendees locally, internationally, and regionally. They're going to be coming in to enjoy all things North Carolina. As well, we've also got the Artsplosure folks helping us out with an art market. And so all these incredible artisans are going to be basing all of their gear, their merchandise towards musically based products. And then we also try to get a little extreme in it too. I mean, we do like that. We'll have eating contests. We'll do the things that I think generate pretty good excitement when you come down to Fayetteville Street and make you feel like you're in a vibrant downtown environment. And this kind of music really can be enjoyed from a little kid all the way up to a senior citizen. And we've got bounce houses. We'll have an activity zone. We've got a sports zone that is going to be all interactive games and elements, local area sports teams. And so I think it's something that anybody of all age ranges, all musical interests will enjoy this festival.
And to kind of piggyback on that, we will have a stage that will be directed by youth for youth. So the programs are going to be put together by the IBMA Youth Council. It's a council of young people that have been involved in the organization for a number of years and have really taken the leadership role of not only being great musicians, but also being managers and stage managers and MCs and producing programs. So we're really excited about having the youth stage kind of organized by this group, because peer-to-peer mentoring is important in any genre, but it happens in bluegrass a lot, and so we're happy to feature a stage just for that. The youth stage will be on the plaza of the Raleigh Convention Center, and there will be other activities going on out there in the plaza, as well as down Cabarrus Street, and connecting inside the building also, which will have an exhibit hall that'll be free and open to the public. A master's workshop will be going on in there as well. So lots of activity all over downtown, all along Fayetteville Street, over connecting to the convention center and that complex as well. You know, I myself have a family of young kids, and sometimes you can't afford those steep tickets. So this is a great opportunity for you to come downtown, enjoy bluegrass music, do some dancing, try your hand at the music. We hope to have an instrument petting zoo where people can pick up these instruments, maybe for the first time, and try their hand at it. The bluegrass music is a participatory, communal type of activity, and we really want to reflect that in our street festival and get people to engage with the music. That's why we have things like the dance tent, where people of all ages can come together and try their hand at doing squares or contra. You know, all kinds of ways that you can engage as a family with music and the tradition of bluegrass.
The event is open on Friday, September 27th and Saturday, September 28th. Both times are the same on each day. Friday and Saturday both are 12 p.m. noon to 11 p.m. So both days, 22 hours of a full festival out here, and you can come out and eat, you can drink, you can do everything you want to do. It's all going to be on Fayetteville Street downtown.
And another thing that we tried to do with this festival, since there will be so many people from not only out of state, but from out of the country, visitors from all over the world will be here for this International Bluegrass Conference. And we wanted to be able to offer them a taste of North Carolina, if you will. So the beer tent and the Got to Be and See vendors and the art vendors are really going to help them get to know our culture a little bit. And that's what we're really excited about in Raleigh, is to be able to showcase not only Raleigh's history and heritage, but North Carolina as a great bluegrass state.
See y'all at the World of Bluegrass, September 24th through 28th in downtown Raleigh.
This is probably one of the most touching songs that Linda ever wrote. It's off our first album. I want to dedicate it to my brother, Scott Dawson, and my best friend there, sitting here, his dad, Mr. Mullins, and Riston. So this is one called Morning Train.